Well, what a round of rugby. The penultimate round of the Six Nations did not disappoint for sure. First off, we had Italy versus Wales, which I thought was going to be a tightly contested game. It was, I guess, in terms of the scoreline, but in the end, Wales did come out victorious and were, I guess, pretty dominant. Italy just didn't take their opportunities, really, did they? The next game, one of the craziest games and most shocking performances from England, was France versus England, 53-10, a record-breaking home defeat for England. I think that solidifies no England players, for me, for the final round of the Six Nations, especially against Ireland on St. Paddy's week for the Grand Slam. I think it's a no-brainer. Then, probably the game of the round was Ireland and Scotland. It had everything really tightly contested game, lots of injuries, which is obviously unfortunate, but for my fantasy team it actually worked out really well, and I'll show you why in a second. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really want to hit 2,000 subscribers and grow this community before the end of the Six Nations. I think we're only like 150 subscribers away. So if you're not subscribed, please just subscribe down below. If you love fantasy, then please subscribe. So looking at the team that I picked for my team selection video on Friday, as you can see, not a bad team. Super sub was Reece Samet. Unfortunately, after this video, I must have taken him out and re-put him back in, but didn't select him as my super sub. So on Sunday morning, I had to then change my team to make sure I got some super sub points, because we all know how important the captain and super sub are. So therefore I had to change the team a little bit. And this was the team that I actually ended round 4 with. So if you guys didn't know, you can actually change your team within the games. So for example, you had 2 games on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning you're able to change whoever's playing on the Sunday for different players, obviously, who haven't played. So that's a good tip, especially if, like me, you didn't actually pick a right super sub, you wanted to change a few players. So that is definitely viable. I did post a short video on Sunday morning just to say the players that I changed, but as you can see, I super subbed Robbie Henshaw in the end. Probably should have picked Jack Conan, who scored well over 100 points. But other changes were George Turner, Jack Dempsey, Johnny Sexton, and Matt Hansen at the back. So the changes that I did bring in did actually work, even though I say never to make late changes, but I was forced. Starting off with the front row then, as you can see, my 2 props really did underperform. The best 2 props in the game on average, but they just didn't perform very well this week. I did bring in George Turner though, and he did get me over 30 points, which I was actually really happy with. A tightly contested game there in Scotland, and I think he also stayed on for quite a bit of amount of time, around the 70-minute mark, so that's also really good for a front row. Really happy with my second row choices. Canone, not so much, but Flamand, what a player, and crazy points so far in the Six Nations. A really decent captain option as well, especially for this week. 2 tries, absolutely smashed out of the park, and then got a huge win against England. So what more can you ask for? My back row did actually disappoint again, so Jack Morgan, Lewis Ludlam, very average. But Jack Dempsey, I did bring him in as a late change, in for Doris as well, which obviously Doris went off injured, so this was a really good move. Over 40 points, he played 8, and a really cheap option as well, so I was quite happy with this. Let me know how you guys did in your back row, because I always seem to, I guess, lack great points in my back row. Maybe it's because there's 3 players, so I'm looking at an overall score. But yeah, let me know how you guys have found your back row. My halfbacks, once again, I stuck with Dupont, over 55 points, absolutely amazing. And then I brought in Johnny Sexton for Finn Russell. Johnny Sexton obviously scored over 30 points, and I think Finn Russell just under 20, so that was definitely a positive trade for me. Then in the centres, Ollie Lawrence really didn't perform very well. Maybe it was an oversight from my point of view. I was quite close to picking Don T, but I think because he hadn't had any games so far in the Six Nations, I swayed and stuck with Lawrence, but maybe my English bias did have a bit of an oversight there. But then Hugh Jones absolutely tore it up again. I think he is top try scorer now in the Six Nations, so definitely looking at him for the next round. And then finally, James Lowe, Matt Hansen and Liam Williams actually did really, really well. So Liam Williams scored a try and was pretty pivotal to Wales, but I think he did actually come off injured. He's definitely out for the last game of the Six Nations, which has been confirmed. So, a bit unfortunate there, but a decent pick. James Lowe, Mac Hansen. So James Lowe was always going to be my captain. I think a pretty safe captain pick, and I'm really happy that I stuck with him. But Mac Hansen obviously switched him in for Hugo Keenan, which was an absolutely brilliant move. Almost scored 100 points, man of the match. So that move was pretty decent. As I always say, I am sceptical about late changes, but these definitely paid off for me. Someone I missed out on though was obviously Ramos for France and also Peno. So definitely looking at them in the next round. So that is my team. I did finish on 738 points in the end, which I think was pretty good compared to, I guess, the rest of Six Nations Fantasy. Definitely my late changes helped me. Let me know down in the comments how you guys did and what your overall score was. Really interested to see where we compare. In the JG Rugby Leagues, I have actually gone up, which is really positive. Maybe it was because of my late changes, which obviously swayed from my previous team, which was more positive. But I always like to know how you guys did down in the comments, so please let me know. As always, thanks for watching and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the Six Nations. I know we can do it.